Tonight, at some point, you are going to lie awake. Your body will be still. The room will be dark. And your brain will refuse to stop. You will stare at the ceiling and think about something you said 3 years ago, or something that might happen tomorrow, or nothing in particular, just a low hum of restless, uncooperative wakefulness. And at some point, probably around 2 or 3 in the morning, you will feel it, that creeping, specific anxiety that comes only in the dark, the one that whispers, "Something is wrong with you. You should be asleep. Everyone else is asleep. Why can't you sleep?" But here is what no one ever told you. That moment, that exact feeling of waking in the deep middle of the night, mind buzzing, body alert. Your ancient ancestors did not just experience that, they expected it. They planned for it. They lived their entire social lives around it. What you call insomnia, they called Tuesday. Sleep, for most of human history, was not the long, unbroken 8-hour block you have been told to achieve. That version of sleep is an invention, a modern one. And understanding what sleep actually looked like for 300,000 years of human existence changes not just how you think about your restless nights, it changes how you think about yourself. Historian A. Roger E. Kirch spent over 2 decades researching pre-industrial sleep patterns. His 2005 book, At Day's Close, Night and Times Past, drew on thousands of historical documents, court records, diaries, medical texts, literature, spanning medieval Europe and beyond. What he found was extraordinary. For most of recorded pre-industrial history, humans did not sleep in one continuous block. They slept in 2. The first sleep began shortly after dark. It lasted roughly 4 hours. Then people woke up. For an hour or 2, sometimes more, they were simply awake in the night. They talked, they prayed, they visited neighbors, they made love, they smoked, they reflected on their dreams. Some used the time to read or write. Doctors of the era recommended it as the ideal time for conception. Then, naturally, they drifted back into what was called the second sleep and woke again at dawn. This pattern had a name: the 2 sleeps. And for centuries it was not a disorder, it was just how humans worked. The question is why? And to answer that, you need to go back much further than medieval Europe. Anthropologist David Sampson has spent years studying sleep in small-scale traditional societies, groups whose lives most closely mirror the conditions your distant ancestors lived in. In a landmark 2017 study published in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society B, Sampson and his colleagues tracked sleep patterns in the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer communities on Earth. What they found dismantled almost every assumption Western science had made about sleep. The Hadza do not all sleep at the same time. In any given night, at least 1 or 2 members of the group are awake at almost every hour, not because they have insomnia, not because they are anxious, but because that is the natural distribution of sleep across a group of humans living together. Sampson called this the sentinel hypothesis. The idea is that human sleep evolved over hundreds of thousands of years in small groups exposed to predators and rival bands, was never meant to happen all at once. Someone was always supposed to be awake. Wakefulness in the night was not a malfunction. It was a feature. It was the group's alarm system. Your restless 3 a.m. brain is not broken. It is on patrol. Think about what life actually looked like for the vast majority of human existence. Your ancestors did not sleep in sealed rooms behind locked doors. They slept in small groups, often in the open air or in shallow shelters, with the savanna or the forest pressing in around them. A lion does not announce itself. A rival group raiding for food or territory does not send a warning. The most dangerous hours were the dark hours. And a species that simply went unconscious for 8 straight hours every night and trusted that everything would be fine? that species did not survive long enough to become you. Your body learned. Over millennia, human sleep evolved to be light, fragmented, and socially distributed. It evolved to include windows of wakefulness, precisely because wakefulness in the night had survival value. But it was not just physical survival. Anthropologist Carol Worthman at Emory University has argued that the nighttime waking hours in traditional societies served deep social functions that modern sleep science has almost entirely overlooked. In her research on sleep ecology across cultures, Worthman found that night was historically a time of storytelling, ritual, emotional processing, and community bonding. The fire kept burning, and the people gathered around it in the small hours were not suffering. They were doing some of the most important cognitive and